Well, good afternoon, everybody. Rippy, Jen, Holly, and the lovely Mrs. W. Well, what a day. Well, a few days it's been, isn't it? With the news and that. Audio okay?
Yeah, clip the first part on mine, but yeah.
Holly says 5 be 5. Thank you, sweetheart. 10 in, so how we all doing then, people? I dare say a lot of you are doing better than me. My head's in a spin at the moment with everything going on. Right. Take a bit of coffee medicine. Good afternoon, Matt. No, it is just cough medicine. I've still got a bit of a remnants of the flu and shit. Hi, Box. Good afternoon. Well, yeah, what are we seeing in the Parliament? Oh, dear. McKay, good afternoon. Yeah. Mr. Speaker kind of dropped himself in the shit there, didn't he? But I still can't get over the fact that they're bitching and moaning and all this over something that is beyond their control. It's nothing to do with us. Gabby, good afternoon, sweetheart. Absolutely nothing to do with us. And they think they can control it? Not a chance. If those two sides want to keep killing each other, they'll keep killing each other. It doesn't matter what we say, what our parliament says, or what any other country says, unless a country's prepared to go in and wipe out both sides. That's the only way they'd stop it. And they proved their absolute disdain for us. Who was it? Simon Sideways put up a video, and his thumbnail was bang on. During the so-called debate on the Middle East, I'll call it, the house was absolutely packed, standing room only. But when it came down to debating our borders, there was probably less than a dozen people in there. Now, what does that tell you? Yes, Rippy, exactly. Now, they're proving, absolutely proving what I've been saying all along is bang on. I mean, you look at the announcement today from Ofgem. Moo, good afternoon, mate. They're going to reduce the cap on energy by, 12%. Now, the same war's going on with Russia, the Ukraine. Sanctions are supposed to be in place already. Now, they use that as an excuse to put the prices up. Well, it's all still going on. We're still in the same shit. So how can they bring them down? Personally, I think it's because of the release that came out the other day about the absolutely obscene amount of profit that British Gas have made over the last 2 years. Well, not 2 years, 1 year, from 22 to 23. Now, that just proves that it was all about the money. During a financial crisis, cost of living crisis, they banged everything up. Now, didn't I tell you they would never bring it down to the levels that were previous in place? Because they're making too much money. And if you think about it, it's not just the utilities company. If they're bringing in a lot more money, they are paying the government a lot more tax. Says it all, don't it? You know, they've got 2 wars to keep funding now, when you think about it. When you think about it, they sanctioned Russia when it invaded. As I said in the video the other day, all they did was freeze their bank accounts here and take a few boats off them. And I always said they'd be trading with Russia through the back door, feeding both sides. Well, that's been proved now. But if you're sanctioning a country because they're at war or involved in a war you don't agree with, how come they can find another 50 ways of sanctioning them? Strange, huh? Very strange. But we knew this was going on. To be honest, Russia are doing better out of it. Maybe not in manpower. They are still losing a lot. But they are doing a lot better with their economy than what people are led to believe. Their economy was shit anyway, but it hasn't really dropped any when you look at what videos come out of Russia. Who was it that was there the other week? Was it Carlson? Said he could feed the crew while he was there for, say, £100, whereas in the West it would probably cost him near $400 or $500. You tell me whose economy is getting better. Because ours fucking ain't. They keep telling us it is, but it ain't. I said last year we were already in a recession. Last week, they actually admitted it. But I think we're seeing now of the actual breakdown of Parliament with what's going on. They're all running shit scared. They're frightened for their safety. Rightly so. You fucking well should be with what you've done to this country. If you'd have worked for the country, for the people, you wouldn't need to feel frightened, would you? Because we would be supporting you if you were doing the right things. But you're not. Go figure, you bunch of twats. Or just lock yourselves up in Parliament. You know, we'll come and barricade the doors, keep you in there. It's not a problem. It'd give me an excuse to actually go to the shithole that's called the capital, wouldn't it? You've been searching for your birth certificate. I know exactly where mine is, Matt. It's in the drawer, in this table, and it's the original one. But don't forget, if you post it off, it can come back with your place of birth scribbled out, even if it is Israel. That just shows what the civil service is like in this country. They're all bowing to the government and their ideals. Same as the police. Totally unbiased policing. Yeah, right. I've actually got a replacement as well, Holly. I got one years ago. That's in the drawer as well.
Yeah, but it gets to a point where you can't find it and you have to. And the moment it turns up.
Oh, yeah, if you have to go through a load of hoops.
The moment it turns up, he'll find the original.
But even that doesn't guarantee you anything in this country, considering the police treat you like an alien anyway. You know, to them, we are aliens. We're the invaders in our own fucking country, if you listen to the police. God, my throat's still sore. But doing well on this. I'm still way down on the amount I used to smoke. I've only got about half a packet to go. But yeah, I mean, today, the verdict was read out on that bubblegum, Begum, or whatever her fucking name is, that fucked off over there to fight for ISIS, married one of them. She is not allowed her citizenship back. Absolutely. Afternoon, Stuart. Now, they can turn that down in court. They can stop her coming back. a young schoolgirl, as she was back then. Now she's now a young lady. Yet they can't stop the boats coming across the channel. Go figure. They keep telling us they're stopping them, but we don't see any evidence of it. Meanwhile, we're splashing out still 10 million a week or whatever it is to keep the fuckers here. Unbelievable. But yeah, the the government are just not in line with our country, and I've got to say it. That Braverman, Suella Braverman, was bang on with what she said in there. We are now in an Islamic-controlled country. Maybe indirectly, or in some cases, looking at some of the fucking idiots in Parliament, quite directly. Good afternoon, Michael. But yes, she is right. The police are bowing down to them. They let them get away with what they want, even carrying ISIS-backed flags, chanting terrorist slogans, yet you hold a Union Jack up and you're fucking nicked. Now, you tell me what's wrong there. I can see it. So can many others. But the government can't. This is the state this country's in now. And I'll be totally honest here. I can't see it getting any fucking better. The election's going to do nothing. It's either just going to give us a faster death or the slow death. Good afternoon, Jason, mate. Yeah, exactly. You will submit. You will have to do what they say. And that is a fucking dictatorship. And that's the way the streets of this country are heading. They're already lawless in many places. I said the other day, people keep saying we're losing London. London is lost. It's gone. It is not a British city anymore. You've only got to look at that prick in charge and what he says. Carnage Khan. And if he thinks that when these people overrun us, which is every possibility they could, because we won't stand up as a nation, they will be in the same pile of shit that we are. If you think you can't control us, you certainly ain't going to control them. Yes, Stuart, there is that. I'm kind of hoping that what happened yesterday will bring them to their senses. There's nearly 70 letters of no confidence gone in Mr. Speaker. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker just fucked up. He's not the one that makes the decisions. He is not the running the country. He is there just to keep order in the House. He has no rights whatsoever to direct them on what to do, other than tell them to shut up. Now, if you look at the Canadian Parliament, they run on a similar basis to us. But in there, once a debate starts, it turns into a fucking free-for-all. And it's quite comical. I mean, Trudeau's walked out several times last week just because people don't agree with him. That's not how you run a country. You don't run a country standing at the back cracking a fucking whip. If you want the people to follow you, you do what they want, or at least attempt to do what they want, and lead from the front. If you're doing it right, the people will follow. All the ones that are following this government now are the sheep, the ones that have been brainwashed. They've been hypnotized by the bullshit. But we will get a few concessions over the next couple of weeks, because I think it's March the 6th the budget is tabled for. Now, we will see a lot of concessions in that. But bear in mind, the Tories could lose it outright, just like that. So that could all change again. Now, all these things they're promising now don't come into effect until April, which is after the budget. And there could even be a general election as early as the end of May, is one date that I've heard bandied about. And that came from MPs, not from the internet, not from social media, not from mainstream media. That came from an MP. He openly said there could be even an election at the end of May. So look out for news on that. If I hear any more, I'll certainly tell you in a video. You know I will. I don't hide nothing that I find out about them. Yes, I might have to put it in a certain way to get it by the censors, which is getting worse. But yeah, I mean, this country is going downhill very, very quickly. And at the moment, I can't see anything that's going to stop it. Because, as I said many, many times before, they've done a fucking good job of splitting us up into all these little minority groups, turn each one against each other. So no one's going to stand shoulder to shoulder to fight for the bigger picture, unfortunately.
Who's going to want to stand in the rain?
Yeah, who's going to want to stand in the rain? Yeah, exactly, iBots. They think we won't oppose them. We're already opposing them. But the law stops us. And the government put laws in place to stop us opposing them. Grumpy Sapper, good afternoon, buddy. And iBots, as I said earlier, Suella Braverman was bang on point. This country is run by Islam. And it's not going to be long before we start seeing the Sharia law being sneaked in places. We already know they have their own courts, which are totally illegal. They have no legal standing in this country. Yeah, Matt, I mean, it would probably kill me if I stood in the rain too long, but if I thought it would do some fucking good at the moment, I would quite happily do it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm always a doom and gloom monger, but at the moment, I'm not seeing any way out of this. Not legally, anyway. And for all those that are saying prepare, I get crossbows. Well, there's another thing I found out today. They're actually bringing in legislation to cover crossbows and archery, funny enough. Good afternoon, Paul. There's going to be an out-and-out ban on broadhead arrows, which are probably the most damaging to anybody. They do damage on the way in, they do damage when they pull them out. But they're also looking at other avenues of controlling them. Probably some type of license fee. Well, it is already illegal to hunt with one or have one in public nowadays. If you've got a part of one in your car, even a part of one, not a whole one, you must be on the way to an archery range or back from an archery range, or likewise to a shop to either repair, sell, or buy. The only stipulation is the same as air rifles. You must be 18 before you can buy one. Yeah, there's lots of bushcraft shops selling iBox. There's a lot of gun shops still sell them as well. But they are looking into making big changes in that, like they did with the knife laws. But as I've always said, these things are designed that the people are using them for the wrong reasons. But the only people that end up paying for it are those that have got them for legitimate reasons. Like they did with persecuting shotgun owners a couple of years back, going after the farmers, the police falsifying sight tests from doctors, forcing doctors to sign forms that are saying the person wasn't capable of having a firearm. There are many people out there that aren't capable of owning and using a firearm properly. But most of these are criminals, and most of them certainly wouldn't pay a license. The only ones that pay a license are the people who own them, use them for a certain purpose, and they're very careful what they do with them. So basically, they're just making money off of somebody's back for nothing over that, because criminals won't register a shotgun. Of course they're not. They're not that fucking stupid. One of the laws they're changing over knives, or trying to change over knives now, they've done away with the zombie knives, as they call them. Absolutely. Those things have got no other purpose than to maim or kill. But they're now looking at banning machetes. Well, I have one in the shed. I use it for clearing brambles in the garden. I used to use it at work for the same purpose and clearing brushwood. And that is the only thing it got used for. But that, under the eyes of the law, would be banned. But think about this. A strimmer, a petrol strimmer. You can get metal blades for them, brush blades they're called. Now, I'm not advocating this, but imagine how much damage a petrol strimmer could do with a black metal blade on it. Bearing in mind the blade is on average 6 foot away from you while you're waving it around. Just a thought, people. Shouldn't say it really, but you know, when you're in a tight spot, you are going to pick up anything to use to defend yourself, no matter what it is, if it's to hand.
Come the apocalypse.
Come the apocalypse, everybody running around the streets with strimmers. When you think about it, even a lawnmower can do a lot of damage. You know, and this is what will happen and does happen in other countries. You look at, say, the Vietnamese, North Vietnamese, during their little scrap. A lot of their weapons, traps were all homemade. There are people at war at the moment that are still using muskets, would you believe? Yes, Grumpy, there is a lot that you could actually pick out that could instantly be a weapon. Cast iron frying pan. You could be the chef then, Holly. Got to take my grandma back to prison. She only out on release then, Paul. Got a day ticket. Matt's got a spud gun. Believe it or not, over a very short distance, even they can be weaponised, Matt. It just depends what you put in them. Don't forget, at the end of the day, they work on compressed air. Yes, Highbox. There's many people I've taught over the years that would know exactly how to do it and convert things as well. That was one of my Sunday enterprises, shall we say. The lads used to come over. They'd just pick anything up in the workshop, bits and pieces, slam them on the bench and say, okay, weaponise that. And I have done. I've weaponised everything from fire extinguishers to garden tools, cycle parts. You'll be surprised with a little bit of ingenuity what you can come up with to defend yourself. Granted, a lot of them wouldn't be any defence against guns and bullets. But yes, a catapult, slingshot is one of the most ancient basic hunting weapons. And I do have a Black Widow somewhere and a bigger homemade one. Again, it's something I used to teach on the survival courses. You know, everybody would say, "Oh, what bow and arrow, this, that, and the other." I said, the best thing you can take is a slingshot and learn how to use it. Yeah, we can start growing our own veg with them, Stuart. Just saves you going out to sow the seeds, doesn't it? Spuds will get banned due to illegal spud gun owners. Yeah, exactly, Boo. And that's the way the fucking idiots would think, you know? They say sticks and stones don't hurt me. What is it? Words, what was it? Sticks and
stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Exactly. Sticks and stones used right will break bones. Guns don't kill people, spuds do. Only if you choke on them at the moment, Ollie. But yeah, you take that saying, guns don't kill. It's the person who pulls the trigger that kills. A gun left on a table in a drawer is an inanimate object until it's picked up. It's getting to the point where people are starting to think this way now. They're thinking of holding up, thinking of arming themselves with something. But there again, there's a certain mix with diesel, allegedly. Yeah, we can call it napalm, Grumpy Supper. Everybody knows what that is. It's a very sticky substance mixed with fuel. Was used to great effect in the towards the end of the Second World War and in Vietnam. Unfortunately, it is very discriminate, and when you look at some of the documentaries and films over it is quite an horrific weapon. A bit like phosphorus. In fact, there was a documentary on the other night on a very famous film clip of the young Vietnamese girl running away from the village with her skin hanging off. Luckily enough, she survived, and they even interviewed her. And some of the things that she was saying. Yeah, Agent Orange, Stuart, that was supposed to be a defoliant, but obviously it had some real nasty side effects. It is effectively a weed killer, a very strong weed killer. And there was another one. What was it called? There's no known antidote for it. I can't remember what it's called now. It will come to me at some point. I was talking about the fertilizer version. Okay. But yeah, Agent Orange was used widely throughout the Vietnam War. It kind of made sense. Do away with the trees, do away with the foliage. The enemy can't hide behind them. But yes, Jason. You'd probably have a job cleaning with that. No antidote to a certain region. Yeah, I'm trying to think what that other paraquat was the other one. It was a well-known weed killer. It was licensed. You needed a license to use it or store it. But they made that illegal because there was no known antidote to it at the time when they banned it, which was a bit of a kick in the teeth because we had several £100s of it left in the shed where I worked in the barn. And we actually had to hand that in to the authorities because there was no way of disposing of it. We weren't allowed to spray it on the land anymore, and it had to be disposed of properly. and there could have been big fines if they found it. So we had to go through that just to stay on the right side of the law. But I can remember making things out of copper tubing, black powder. I mean, black powder is quite easy to make if you know the formula. More or less all the ingredients can be found in most households. Maybe not a modern house, but in an old house, you could certainly find the ingredients or substitutes thereof. See if we got any more questions in the chat. We got 29 people watching, probably half a dozen participating. So hi lurkers, whether you're there for good reasons, bad reasons, your own reasons, or you just like to go and cause shit somewhere else, well, please go and cause it. Well, I don't give a shit. You ain't bringing it in here. Yeah, Grumpy, you know me, mate. I'm very selective about what I do say. Obviously, medical. There's a lot of medical things I'd like to say that I can't, even though they're true. But yeah, I have modified the way I say things, literally because of that. At the moment, Discord are having a big purge. You can't talk about anything medical on a lot of them now because some of the bigger servers are being monitored. Well, all of them are monitored, but some more closely than others. Yeah, it's like if you're mixing something to cause a big bang, shall I say, Grumpy. If you call it what it actually is, that's a trigger word. Things like that. But literally, they're turning us into a nanny state. As I always said, you will go where you're told to go. You will all travel in the same direction at the same speed at the same time, hence the new 60 mile an hour speed limits, which are now being introduced on some motorways. You can guarantee that's a trial to see if people accept it. If they do, that will become nationwide. They've kind of backed off on the 15-minute cities a bit, but they're still there. They're still trying to put them in place, and people are still fighting back. Pulling down signs, removing barriers, stuff like that. A bit the same as the ULEZ in London. But yeah, the algorithms are getting words added to them. And it's got to the point where pro-Palestinians can go on any platform, say whatever the fuck they like, no recourse. But if we say anything against them, you get a knock on the door and a pair of silver fucking bracelets slapped on you. So what Suella Braverman said is right. Islam is running the country. You do anything against them, and you're screwed. Good afternoon, Nick.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, Nick, yes, you can use that word
can you,
because I used it in a historical setting where it was actually used. I haven't told you how to make it, although I do. I would never put it on here, how to make it, because that would absolutely break YouTube's algorithms. And that would get the channel pulled down. Got several tats booked. Very dynamic. Norse. Do you know what? There's a lot of people doing the Norse tattoos now, Matt. I done a sheath for a Zax. For people that don't know what that is, it's a Viking knife that can be used in battle and used as a utility knife. And a guy wanted a leather sheath made for it, and he wanted Norse designs on it. Well, one of the ones I put on there was the Norse compass, which does take a bit of understanding if you look at it for the first time. There was another few phrases on there. I can't remember off the top of my head what they were now, but he was more than happy with it. It was all engraved into the leather and embossed into it in different designs. Just another little sideline that I do. Yeah, but they are plastic Viking. Well, most of us in this country, well, most whites in this country, I'll say, Matt, a lot of us have got Norse DNA, Viking DNA. You know, they were around the world long before people thought they were. There's even talk that they got to North America at one point. They definitely got all over the Middle East. And the DNA tests all around the world have proved this. They think they've won their battles for Islam in this country. They haven't. No, far from it, Highbucks. Far from it. Vegesin here is what it's called, an Icelandic invention. But, yeah, Mrs. W's just nipped out to take a phone call. A lot of the phone calls she makes are personal. Obviously, we don't want them going out on air. How long have we been going now? Right, let's see if this is going to have this today. Oh, look at that. It did. Fucking hell. Surprise, surprise. That's the second time in over a month that's worked. FYI, we can still hear her. Baby?
Bear with me 1 second. 1 second. Yes, sir?
Ollie just said they can still hear you clearly out there talking.
Okay.
Thank you, Holly. I mean, she's only the other side of this wall, and there used to be a hatch in it, and it's only filled in with plasterboard. That's right, she knows now. But there you go. If anybody has got anything to say or wants to jump in on the panel, obviously you will be vetted on the way in, especially if you're not known to me, as we have 36 people in here and there isn't even half of those in the comments. But I do know that some of you sit in the background there, some very good friends of mine just sit in the back there and say hi at the end. That's absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Because I don't really slag anybody else off, any other YouTubers, take and record away. I don't give a flying one. It's a mishmash of runes. Yeah, I did put some of the rune symbols on there. And I also did some writing on there using the Old Norse alphabet and symbols. Exactly, Holly. Exactly. Well, we've got rain again here today. I don't know about the rest of you. It was clear first thing, but then whoosh, as I say. And I must get out the back and get something done because we've got a leaky gutter. We've got a downpipe that's come disconnected. Investigation please decide that this window did nothing wrong. It should reflect on. They have instructed her to apologise, I think, Stuart. But that's about as far as it goes. I mean, to me, she's just a disgusting piece of work, and it's people like her that the police force don't need. Like that other silly bitch in London. You can't sing fucking church songs in public. So what are you going to do? Go out and ban carol services? Carol singers? Mine are all old school, Matt. They're usually biker ones. I've got one up there with my kids' names in. I've had the wife's name blanked out of it. I have got to go and have one done because I want to change that in there. No disrespect to Sean, who's a subscriber of mine, but that isn't the missus' name. And so I'm going to go and get that changed. I found a tattooist that will do it, even with my blood issues. Yeah, Holly, it will. I mean, Khan would love to ban it now. I mean, you look at fucking London. Our next big festival is Easter, but he's spent all the money on Ramadan. Bought millions of new lights, decorations. Identify as one of the above. Yeah, there is that, Ollie. There is that. No, we shouldn't eye-box. I mean, look at the one Dan pointed out the other day. A convicted rapist, twice, been in prison for it, been convicted. But even after that, he was accepted into the Met. Now, that just shows that they're not vetting people properly. They're throwing the odd one under the bus that they come across just to make it look like they are clearing out the bad ones, but they're not. They're still taking on ones that are turning bad as soon as they get the uniform on. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll say this in a particular way. If someone of Indian descent, someone of Caribbean descent wanted to join the police force, they acted within the rules and the guidelines they're given and actually fought crime without bias, without fear or favour, as they're supposed to, as long as they can do the job and are capable of it, I would have no problem with them being in there. But that's where it stops. They're being infiltrated by the woke. Most of the ones that are decent now are going off sick because they can't be asked with it. Hi, Dr. Kersey. At the slightest drop of a hat, they're claiming PTSD. I'm off on long-term sick. Again, highlighted in a video by Dan the other day with the copper laid on the ground, two trying to restrain, well, I won't call him a gentleman, a male, who they just didn't seem to be having a lot of luck with. And you could literally see him on the ground looking like he's unconscious, but every now and again he lifted up, looked up, saw what was going on and just put his head back down. Now, if he had been battered, he wouldn't have been doing that if he'd have been battered. Yes, sure. I've always said it, mate. We need a police force in this country. Every country needs a police force. But it's how that police force conduct themselves that is the big issue. America have had thugs in their police force for years. Dan put the one, well, everybody put the one out about the cop shooting the guy handcuffed in the car because a fucking acorn dropped near him. Well, now there was a woman shot through her own closed front door. I saw a report on the other day. There was a report of a break-in. The complex owner gave her permission to break a window to get in because she'd lost her keys. The police turned up, didn't shout any warnings, so she didn't know who they were. All she got was a load of banging on the door. So she said, "I've got a gun here. Who are you?" And without saying a fucking word, they dumped 2 mags, or I think it was 4 mags, through her front door, hitting her quite a few times. That's what America is like. And believe it or not, I believe, in my opinion, that if every copper in this country was armed and trained to the extent they are, we would see exactly the same here. You know, we've already seen unjustified shootings by the police. Absolutely thousands of unjustified uses of tasers or parva spray. Yet, what do they get for it? Fuck all. Hardly any of them get held to account. No, the police keep saying the public won't help them. Are you fucking surprised with the way you assholes been and the way you treat the public? Just rock up to somebody on the street and feel that you can intimidate them, get their ID, get their information for no reason. Try that with me, you'll soon get told where to fucking go. Same as I did before in the early videos that I did. Yeah, it's supposed to be a defense weapon, Stuart. A last resort defense weapon. And it is a weapon. It's classed as a firearm. And that's why we're not allowed to own them. But there's far too much of it, pulling it out and just firing off at people running away just because somebody won't bow down to them. And that is absolutely wrong. And I think they should be drummed out the fucking force for doing it. Absolutely. Or at the very least, held to account in the same way that any member of the public would if they had one or used one. Yeah, that would be funny, Moo. Everybody arming themselves with spud guns. But there again, with the farmers, well, we're not too bad in this country, but elsewhere in the world, they can't get any spuds because there's none going in the shops, is there? I mean, I would absolutely love to see what's happening in New York now happen here with London. But unfortunately, there's a block in the way. It was a law that was brought in covering the trucks, and they wouldn't be able to do it legally. And because a lot of the drivers over here work for big companies, the big companies will just pay foreigners or anybody else to drive the stuff in. Now, a lot of trucks in America are driver owned. And the mayor of New York turned around and said, well, that's not a problem. The companies will make sure we get our supplies. Well, as I reported in the week, unfortunately for them, a lot of the CEOs and bosses of these trucking companies are saying the same as the truckers. No, go fuck yourself. Strange how plot alarm rarely do they put up. Yes, they do have better training here, Stuart, than the Americans. Usually the only ongoing training they have is a psych test and target practice. No, I will agree there, Jason. If Cabot had done what he was asked to do, rather than trying to ram through, get away, then he wouldn't have ended up where he is now, 6 foot under. Yeah, I've seen them being drawn, Stuart, over there in videos. Obviously not as much as in America, but the fact that the PSNI have got more armed officers than we have makes you think. And they're actually advertising for people to join the nuclear constabulary to become firearms officers. Now, their vetting system is a lot stronger, a lot tougher to get through, but there's no reason why infiltrators can't get through. They've only got to have falsified documentation, falsified reports. We know the police don't check all of them. We've seen that with the Met. I mean, you've only got to look at Cousins, people like that. They're all ex-nuclear constabulary firearms bods. And look at the mess they were in. Look at the crimes they committed. Beardy, good afternoon, mate. Sorry I missed your stream this morning. I actually had a lay in. I was up at about 2 o'clock, sat down here for a few hours and went back up at about 5, 6 o'clock this morning. Managed to get another couple of hours sleep. Yes, Stuart, they were both of them Carrick as well. That was the other name that I was trying to think of. Cousins always sticks in my head, but Carrick is the one that slips out. You know what my memory's like. It's, but yeah, I mean, there are good coppers out there. Unfortunately, they're far and few between, and they play along mainly with everybody else because they get persecuted, even though they're not supposed to, and they're certainly too frightened to whistle blow. One or two have come out. There was one that came out yesterday in an interview and said that the police are just out of control now, especially around the protests in London. Well, we knew that anyway. You can see it. You know, when 1,000 people walk past the camera waving a fucking ISIS flag or whatever, shouting terrorist slogans, they'll arrest the one person stood on the pavement with a fucking Union Jack. But I have actually just ordered 2 Union flags. One's going to go on the wall here. They're not huge things. I'm in the living room. And the other one is going up in the window, so it can be seen from the outside. And we do get plenty of police coming past here. And I will argue the toss with them if they knock on the door, especially as half of them are still wearing the same fucking flag on their uniforms that they're arresting people for saying it's a hate crime. But they won't listen to that fact. Most royal buildings, at times, they have the Union flag up. Does that mean they're racist? Why don't they get tugged? Why don't they get threatened with arrest or causing a hate crime? This is what I mean by the 2-tier policing. It's one rule for us and one rule for every other fucker. Which actually points towards a dictatorship. You know, and I will use the term, our police in this country, I believe, are that far off being the same as the Nazis, as a certain group of soldiers in Germany in the 1930s. They're acting the same. Show me your papers. They're stopping anybody. Show me your ID. That's how it started over there. Over here, you go against them, say anything about them, you walk away scot-free because you know you haven't broken the law. And the next thing you get reprisals, you get revenge pulls, you get revenge knocks on the door. And quite honest, they're coming out with the biggest load of bullshit just trying to intimidate you. And I would always say, don't open the door to them. Talk to them through the window. Because if they were there to arrest you, they'd have been through the fucking door and done it. If they'd just stood outside knocking and chatting, then they've got fuck all. The usual one is, we'd like to invite you to the station for a voluntary interview. Well, as I pointed out to one quite a few years ago, that's an invitation. He said, yes. I said, thank you. I don't want to accept your invitation. He said, well, a voluntary one. I said, voluntary, look up the fucking word, what it means. It means you do something of your own accord with no pressure. So I'd reject that. The only way they'd get anything out of me is by fucking arresting me. And because I don't commit a crime, that's a wrongful arrest, a wrongful detainment. So straight away, you've got a case to put to the IOPC about the police. Not that they'd do anything about it, but you can get the word out. You can get their names out. You can get their collar numbers out. You can get their stations put out. And that's going to hurt them more. All they're doing is earning the hate. And if they think they're going to be safe, if it all kicks off, boys in blue, you're not. You're not going to be safe. In fact, poor people will probably come after you than they will anybody else, to be honest. Because you are the strong arm of the government. You are the thugs, the bully boys. Can't believe they're getting all emotional on the stream before. Yes, Highbox, revenge is both ways, but there's a lot more of us than there is of them. Even in our minority, out of all the little groups they've split us in, there is still a lot more of them, a lot more of us than there is of them. And they will be the losers. There you go. In fact, Dan's just put up a video where lesbian Nana has been forced to apologise. And fucking rightly so. Because they think they can do no wrong. And as we see every day, they do a lot of wrong. Difference is, when they're wrong, they won't admit it. When we're wrong, we do. They've got no integrity, no morals. And that silly bitch that's just been made to apologise is a prime example.
Want a coffee bag?
Go on then. Why not? Save me keep drinking. Oh, you're getting a lot of phone calls today. More popular than me.
I don't know what happened there, because I could hear you and I was
She's out in the kitchen, mate. She's one, making the coffees, and two, she's had a couple of phone calls to deal with. And being as they're private calls, obviously, if she does them in here, they can still be heard. Yes, Moo. I call them a few other choice names, but and the thing is, sometimes even when I walk past, when I just can't help myself, I've got to say something. I was whistling a tune when me and Dan went down to Western-super-Mare. We had a stop off in Bristol, change a train, and wanted to go for a cigarette, which was a bad move on my point because I was nearly on my fucking knees by the time I got out of the station to have one. But there was half a dozen cops wandering around, and a group of four walked past us, and without thinking, I just started taking the piss and whistling silly tunes at them. Luckily enough, they didn't react to it. They probably just thought, oh, look at that daft old bastard. But I'll go and tell her. The microphone is picking you up through the wall. They can hear every word you're saying. Huh? Well, yeah, I'm just letting you know they can hear every word you're saying. Clearly. Oh, hello. My little mat's in a twist. Yeah, you can ask for their name, their collar number or warrant card number, because it will be different. And you can ask what station they're from. But that's about as far as it goes. Good afternoon, Resist. How are you, mate? How are we doing? 5 o'clock. I mean, you can obviously take registration numbers of any vehicles they're in. And I would recommend, if they refuse to identify or they've got their collar numbers covered up, you can legally walk away. They can't do a fucking thing. Until they actually identify themselves as a police officer, they are not a police officer. Nah, she's not talking about you, Mo. She's talking to her daughter at the moment. We've got the wedding coming up next month, which means I've got to put a suit and tie on, and apparently a purple waistcoat. But hi, Rob. No worries about being late, Rob. Like I say, nobody is under any obligation to come in here at all or interact in here. We know there's plenty that just sit in the background, some for their personal reasons, others for nefarious reasons. Purple. What? Oh, the waistcoat. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Holly. When we got it all here together, my shirt came today because I only own one collared shirt, and that's a black one. You look gorgeous, would you? Actually, I have got a picture of me somewhere in a suit, proper suit. And it does look quite smart, actually. Yeah, I will, Beardy. There will be a picture out there somewhere of it. The last time was when I was at college a few years ago. As you all know, I had to go back to learn how to use a computer. That was the only way of getting me benefits at the time when I was recovering from the operations. And I spent a month, I think it was, daily going to college in Birmingham. And I was my usual self. I was either dressed in ripped jeans or combats t-shirt with slogans on. But the following day, I'd shave my beard off, I'd cut my hair, I'd put a suit on, walked in, and it was a good 10 minutes, quarter of an hour before anybody even recognised me. Even the tutors. Thank you, Swinner. They were shocked. But at the same point, so was I, because they did point out that I did have my flies undone in my trousers. No, this one's a deeper purple than Dan's shirt. His is like a light purple. Some people don't understand that joke still when it's ongoing on his channel, but there you go. But yeah, I think like today, there's lots of cover-up stories going on out there, other than covering what's been going on in Parliament. The big one of the day is obviously this bomb that they've dug up in Plymouth.
Blue.
That for some reason they're going to drive halfway through the city to take it out to sea to dispose of it. Putting hundreds and hundreds of people out their houses for a few hours in the wet, in the cold. I would say, fuck that. I'll take my chances. I'll quite happily stay indoors as you drive past the door. Dan's was blue. Nah, it's purple, Stuart. It's purple.
Blue.
The inside of the collar's blue.
I'm wearing purple.
Yes, JW. Exactly. They shouldn't just be allowed to go straight into the firearms unit. The idea of time served before you get weaponized, although all police have been weaponized at the moment, and no matter what they're carrying, they are just weapons. Very wet ones in some cases, but yes, there should be a more stringent criteria than just applying for being a firearms officer. Yes, Holly. I did notice that, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, if you want to do what you do, then you do it, sweetheart. I have no objections to that. I mean, there's a lot of ex-military that go for the firearms positions as well. Obviously, it looks good on their resume. They're already firearms trained. Okay, Holly, no problem, sweetheart. Sean, good evening, sweetheart. You're getting to grips with the Discord now and putting stuff in the relevant places. I wouldn't worry about it. When I first started going in there, I was the same. I just didn't know where to put stuff, so I was to put it in there willy-nilly. But Holly will always point you in the right direction. Or I will. I'm a mod in there as well. So, Cheryl, good afternoon, darling. Been a while? Oh, that's a nice cup of coffee.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I always say thank you. World War II bomb is on its way in the convoy to Plymouth coast. And the area they were showing, they're taking it to one of the most prominent places in Plymouth anyway, because it looked like they were going to take it down by the Hoe, Plymouth Hoe. And that's not a whore. I'm not that dyslexic. Yeah, it can be, Sean. Literally, the general chat is just that general chit chat. If you want to publicize people's live streams, then it's friends of the channel live streams, and literally anything else pointing to videos goes in off-topic bullshit. If you've got a video or an item that you want to bring to Dan's attention that could possibly use to put one of his videos together, then there is a page there for video ideas. And that's the best way to get his attention rather than email, WhatsApp, because he does get an awful lot and he just doesn't have the time to go through them all. It's like he doesn't always have the time to answer comments on the videos. Obviously, when you get thousands of comments, it could take you a day to go through them, and that's a day lost. He doesn't have any admin to go through them for him and separate them or put the better ones forward. That's the way YouTube is. You will own nothing. How do you think the government will do this? Well, they've already started doing it, iBox. Think about it. They're tying people up to their houses or throwing them out of their houses. A lot of people now are relying on the state. Even those that are working are relying at certain times on the state. And that's where they'll get their control from. Eventually, if it carries on, you will live where they tell you to live, in whatever building they tell you to. You will work at a job that they deem you can do. And if you refuse, you'll lose all your privileges. We will all travel in the same direction at the same speed at any given time. That's already been put in place. And you won't be able to travel out of your areas to do anything but what they tell you. And that's where the 15-minute cities come in. As I said, if you look through my videos, I've been posting for the last 2-3 years on these little things that they're putting in. Little laws, little acts that they're adding all the time on a weekly basis. Now, you go back and look at the amount of acts and laws and things like that that have been passed in the last 2 years. On their own, they're insignificant in most times. But when you put them all together, That's where you'll see what they're actually trying to achieve. They want total compliance, and they want total control of every aspect of your life. They'll even tell you what you can eat and what you can't eat. And if you disagree, they'll take away those privileges and the money you use to buy that food. Why do you think they want access to everybody's bank accounts? So they can see what you're spending your money on, especially those that are on benefits. And unfortunately, there are plenty out there that don't deserve benefits that still claim them. Yes, I'm on a benefit, my sickness benefit. There are 3 or 4 other benefits that I can claim, but I don't, because at the moment we're getting by on what we get. But at some point I will apply for those. But when you think it can take up to 2 years for them to sort it out, and 99 times out of 10 it will get rejected and you have to reapply and appeal.
Those are really poor odds, love.
What?
99 times out of 10.
99 times out of 100, sorry.
Actually, you're probably closer to the mark.
Yeah, but Stuart, I don't like to, mate. I don't like to. I know I'm entitled to them. And I know I've paid into the system for God knows how many years. But I still don't feel that I should at the moment. That's just a personal thing with me. I don't like and I hate relying on other people for anything. But unfortunately, I've got to the stage in life and health where, yes, I do need some financial support. But as always, it's a struggle to get it. You've got to jump through so many fucking hoops. And 9 times out of 10, when you apply for anything, it's online, multiple choice questions, which never ask the right questions. You very rarely get a chance to explain it yourself. For me medical, for me sickness benefits, I actually had a video call with someone because I actually insisted on it. They said, we can do it over the phone. I said, no, I'd rather do it over a video so you can actually see the person that you're talking to. And she absolutely agreed. She questioned how I'd filled in the forms. You know, the usual ones. Can you do this? Can you go to the cupboard? Can you reach something off the top shelf? Can you make yourself a cup of coffee? Can you climb the stairs? And to every single one, I answered, yes, I can do these, providing the fatigue and my muscles allow me at the time. And before the call had even finished, she absolutely agreed with me that I do not need to sign on again. And they would support with the same advice, that the same outcome that they gave me there and then. They would back me up on that on my PIP claims. Well, I've got their forms for PIP. I've filled them in. But I know as soon as I post them, that's going to be coming back. Refused. You have the right to appeal. Yet I have statements from 2 consultants saying that I can't work, I shouldn't work. It's a danger to myself and a danger to others around me if I was working, simply because some of my medical issues, not mental health issues. Apparently I do have some of them, very minor ones apparently. Maybe a lot more if you listen to Mrs. W. She's convinced I'm lying about a lot of them, but no, most of mine is physical. And they totally agreed with me, which I must admit I was quite surprised at. But maybe she was just one assessor that has come across the problems before. Yes, Lost Souls. Shan's off to buy more booze and pizza. Well, that's going to be healthy, isn't it? Why'd you... Oh. All right, Matt. No worries, mate. No worries. Preferential immigrant pay, mate. I like that, Jason. I like that. I could use that. But I'm a bit like Dan. You know, most of you just see me in front of a camera. Now, those that have been with me right from the beginning or remember my early videos, I used to take a half-hour walk down by the brook, through the trees, in nature. Not naturist, but in nature. And I can't even do that anymore. I could probably get away with it on the odd occasion when I am feeling a bit better, but I never know when it's going to hit. And the last thing I want to do is get stuck down there and not be able to get back for whatever reason. And this is why normally I don't travel anywhere unless I'm accompanied. Obviously, I'm at the risk of the strokes and TIAs, which basically if you keel over in public, the first thing people are going to do around you is try and empty your fucking pockets and run off with anything you've got. So you're not going to get instant help. This is why I prefer not to go anywhere on my own at the moment. Oh, more headlines about the what's her name, that Russian that was allegedly murdered by the Russian authorities. They won't let his mother bury him. Vegetable and turkey soup. Well, the first thing you need to do, Sean, if you want to get your health back and eat properly, is stop drinking. You know, I don't preach it a lot. That's only because I don't drink. But yeah, my health went right downhill. But after I stopped drinking, but that was for other reasons. But I felt a lot better after I stopped drinking for a lot of things. Oh, I've been too busy. I'd love to be busy, mate. I really would. I've got so many jobs that I want to get out and do. One, I can't get out there because of the weather. And two, I mean, the gutter needs fixing, and there's no way that I could safely climb a ladder up there to fix the gutter. So unfortunately, I've either got to rely on the council, or if one of my mates has got a bigger ladder that can come round and do it for me. No, I didn't say you drunk too much, Sean. Far from it. Heather likes a drink.
And he keeps telling me to quit as well, Sean. It's one of his...
Yeah. Scudgies. To be honest, Scar, I turned into a right bastard when I used to drink. I was a fighter. I'd argue with anybody.
Still does.
Still does. Yeah, but I don't just walk up and say I don't like you and drop them anymore, do I? You know.
No, takes you a little longer now.
Oh, and Cameron's now saying if Putin wins the war, the world will suffer. We're already suffering, and not because of the fucking war, because of what you assholes are doing around it. So he can shut the fuck up. He's unelected anyway, so. Afternoon, Budge. Been a while. You dropped in last week, mate, and the week before.
No, last week he was missing, wasn't he?
Did he not? I thought he dropped in last week towards the end.
I don't know. I missed some of it, didn't I? So, but I seem to remember you saying he hadn't. My bad if you did.
My bad if I was wrong then. Yeah, like I say, Rob, I'd love to get out there. I mean, I've got a workshop, my small workshop at the end there that needs clearing out. It's just had everything thrown in there since lockdown. Brian, good afternoon, mate. Welcome. That's all right, Budge. I was saying there are people that are blocked from here, but you're not one of them. Yeah, Sean. Heather does like a drink. She's quite particular to a nice single malt, which there is usually one bottle of some sort of malt in the cupboard. Whether it's a single or not, I don't know. I don't drink anymore, so I don't look in there.
I've still got my best stuff left from last Christmas. Or was it my birthday last year?
My tipple used to be bourbon and ale, both together in copious amounts, and that's probably why I used to turn into an arsehole when I drunk.
Pint of JD to go with your pint of Skinners.
Yeah, pint of Cornish knocker and a pint of JD, I was happy. But what made it worse was Skinner's Brewery down in Cornwall at the time was actually owned by a good mate of mine that I used to surf with. So there was always plenty of visits to the brewery, shall we say. Plus, I used to run the door on a couple of his pubs because he had those as well. And a restaurant at one point, which I found really weird that he wanted doorman on the restaurant. But looking at some of the customers he used to get in there, I understood it.
I was going to say it was Nuki.
Yeah, well, that is Nuki, isn't it? Even the takeaway shops had doorman on after 10 o'clock at night. Burger King, all the Chinese, the Indians, they all had doorman on. Yeah, that's homebrew's all right, Moo, as long as you do it properly. I mean, I did try it once, and I made myself ill because the fucking stuff was still fermenting as I was drinking it. It didn't smell nice. But with me now, it's either a fizzy drink or a coffee. That's all I drink.
Never tried that one, Sean.
What one's that?
Pendrin.
Pendrin.
I take it that's a Welsh one.
My word,
I am Googling.
She's having a look. She's researching it, Sean. But normally she gets them sent down from Scotland, which if the SNP have their way, that is another industry that will go down the drain because they want to actually try and stop alcohol consumption in Scotland. Good luck with that, SNP. Brecon Distillery, she said.
You know, it's 40 quid in Sainsbury's.
Save on the package and postage.
Oh, it's only free in Asda. It's only 23 quid in Asda. Depends whether you want the red or the black, though.
We did used to go down to Wales quite down is across from here. Quite regular, Sean. North Wales in particular.
I was going to say Breccon's probably closer from here.
Oh, Breccon's definitely closer from here. But we haven't been for a while. And to my mind, with 20 mile an hour everywhere, it's going to take us twice as long to get there. So we don't get as much time there as we want. So there's no point. But and they're starting to bring the 20 mile an hour in England as well. Not just around schools and pardon me, and places like that. They're actually trying to bring it in just in residential areas and stuff like that, under the guise of safety. Okie dokie. You'd have thought they were be using the eco loons idea over it, less pollution, but they're way out of base with that one, because an engine running slower and keep pulling is creating more pollution than one running at 70 miles an hour or 60 mile an hour average speed down a motorway. Yeah, they're everywhere, Holly. At the moment, there's certain sections of the M1. There's another, I think it's 3 motorways that sections have brought in 60 mile an hour for no reason whatsoever, no road works or anything like that. And what they're doing now is if the motorway goes past the town, they're saying it's the noise and the pollution, so you've got to cut your speed down there as well. And this is all being enforced by new cameras. Some of them are that small that you can't even see them on the posts, or bad signage, which is how I got caught going to Liverpool last year. There was a 50 mile an hour sign at the end of the M62. So I was starting to slow down. And as soon as you got past that sign, it was bang. So they didn't even give you a chance to slow down. But they've now got cameras that are actually picking up how fast you are slowing down. And they're saying that technically, if you're not slowing down at enough of a rate where you will be below the speed limit when you reach it, they can fine you. So basically, it's a fine for what they deem as a pre-crime. And the other one is these cameras that look inside your car. They're quite easy to spot. There's 3 or 4 of them on an overhanging pole, because they've got to be above the vehicle to look down inside it. Catch you on your phones. They can see a phone on your lap. They can see if you're having a wank. Stuff like that. Yes, there are fines going out for it, but those are the only things that are being issued in this country, because the actual footage and the pictures get transmitted, of all places, to Australia, where they are reviewed by the Australian authorities, and they send back the recommendation to fine or not to fine. So that decision isn't even being made in this fucking country. If you're going to send your brain away on holiday, Ollie, can you take mine with it? Send them together. Yes, Sean. And all this surveillance is to do with control. Every single bit of it. If you think about it, cameras were first brought in to combat shoplifting. And then Mr. Gatso over in Sweden there decided, it'd be a good idea just to put them alongside the roads so we can catch people speeding. Hi, Stitch. Well, if you look at the figures going back to the early days on the speed cameras, they were actually causing more accidents in most places than they were preventing, because your attention is drawn away from the road looking for the fucking cameras. You've got people hitting the brakes without any reason other than they can see a camera. Car behind doesn't see it, they're up the back. The average speed cameras, I understand, yes, there needs to be a speed limit and safety around roadworks, obviously, safety of the workers. But when you see miles and miles and miles of cones, no work being done, no work half completed or anything like that, but they've got these cameras and the speed restrictions and nobody working there. They had a 5-year study that about the safety of smart motorways. Haven't heard anything more about that. But they were going to stop all the work on the smart motorways until that investigation had been completed. Well, I believe it's coming up on to the 5 years now since I heard about that. So that's something I'm going to have to look out for. Recently valued a U.S. fine.
Yeah.
Yes, the Australians do cooperate with things like that from over here, Beardy. Some countries on the continent will, in the EU, there's supposed to be an agreement between them. And they've started now finding some of the lorry drivers that were coming over here and not returning after they'd been nicked for whatever. And also, there are a lot of people here that have been fined when they've been on holiday. Obviously, different countries have got different laws of the road, different laws of the land. But most of them are written in a foreign language that holiday makers can't read. I believe the biggest issue over the speeding is because obviously on the continent it's in kilometres per hour, where we run miles per hour. So, and the same can say for the foreign drivers. They come over here, see a limit of 60. They think it's 60 kilometres an hour, which should slow them down if they're reading it wrong, but it doesn't. If he tried to pay, but they don't recognise his bank because it's Australian. Well, that's up to them then, Beardy. If he's made offer of payment, that's good enough. If they don't want to accept it, that's their problem. They'd have to try and fight that in court. You off, Cheryl? Take care, darling. Thanks for dropping in. I know you drop in on the videos and put the odd comment in there. Appreciate that. Simon Sideways there. He's got his 100,000 subs now, going really well. But as I've always said, the bigger the sub pile you got, the more hassle you get from YouTube. As he explained in his video the other day, you even have to jump through a lot more hoops just to get a video posted. When you're a small little channel like me, it just goes through the regular checks as you upload, and there you go. The video goes up. I have had 2 pulled down and got 2 bans. But to be honest, all I did was post them on BitChute, and they got more viewings in there than they ever did on fucking YouTube. Same as the other ones I put in there. But BitChute has become a bit of a free-for-all. They are censored again now. I have got, Rumble account up there. But I haven't actually used it yet other than just to watch videos. Which country would you choose to live in when the shite hits the fan here? That's quite a thought thing. You know, everybody would say, oh, Australia's a nice country, New Zealand. You're wrong. Their cops over there are just as bad and as twisted as ours are here, believe me. I haven't looked into New Zealand lately since Shergar stepped down as Prime Minister. But she was another little dictator. Oh, nice one, Beardy. See, I told you, it will grow slowly, mate. You've got a niche market with what your videos do. And, you're going to attract the right people. Iceland is very, very expensive, Jason. Very expensive. But it is one of the only countries where it is morally acceptable to sleep with a woman before you even date her. It's like literally a try before you buy, as it were. They do sleep with each other, get together to find out if they're compatible, basically. And if not, they cordially say, no, sorry, don't think this would work. And they both walk their separate ways. But Iceland is very expensive. Most of what they consume, well, just about all of it, even wood, is imported into the country. The only thing they have got cheap is heating and hot water, obviously, because being a volcanic island, it's free. They use the subterranean heat, shall I say. Yeah, the hoops are there if you monetize, Budge. If you're not, it's not too bad. But as I've said before, there are a lot more rules that you've got to play by. I've had to alter the way I do my videos to stay inside the rules, or as close to it as I can. But eventually that will change again, especially once they start implementing a lot of the online safety bill. Because as we know, just about 80% of that is designed, it's censoring people like us rather than keeping kids or women or anybody else safe. I said right from the beginning, and I still stand by what I said, I will never, ever monetize my channel. If I was lucky enough to get to the position where it was allowed, I still wouldn't do it. Simply because the amount of money they take off you, I would not be using my work for somebody else to sponge off of me on it. And I wouldn't do it. I have had people ask, if you've got a Dropbox, donate a coffee, would buy a coffee, whatever. And I said, no, I will not have anything like that on my channel. Yeah, but over there, Sean, it's acceptable. They accept it over there. That is their way of life. That's the way they do things. And they were, not so many years back, actually advertising for males to move to Iceland, where they would pay you a resettlement fee because the males were in decline and they were far outnumbered by the females. So they were actually inviting males to move there. Whether that's still in place, I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
And you're too old anyway.
And I'm too old. Oh, thank you. You think I'd consider it? We're too fucking cold for me. I don't think there are any Islamic issues in Iceland. No, their immigration is strictly controlled, Jason. Absolutely, strictly controlled over there and monitored. Apparently, there were some Canadians. There was a few British guys that I'd heard of. Not personal friends, just heard the word that they'd gone. Some stayed, some didn't. Their biggest beef was the cost of living over there. Things are very, very expensive. And I mean everyday goods. Well, the place to sell black market goods at the moment, obviously, is New York, isn't it? You got a loaf of bread over there, you can command God knows how much for it, looking at the state of their shops. But again, that's something they've done to themselves. And I think, well, I think New York could end up like the film Escape from New York. I think that's the way it could end up. Yes, Stuart, the wages do reflect in the prices, and they don't need to work as hard as we do, not actual physical work. But you got to think, you're going to move over there. You got to fit in. Will you be able to fit around there? Yeah, it was Kurt Russell resist. Crowdfund buy our own island. Yeah, let's go and occupy the Isle of Wight. Or Epstein's Island. Shouldn't mention that one, should I? But I call that one Fantasy Island.
Boss, the perverts.
Oh, hello. Beep, beep, beep. Oh, that's over there somewhere. Yeah, they were some good films, Jason. I remember them, Escape from LA, Escape from New York, and there was a third one as well, Nonce Island. Yeah, I call it Fantasy Island, Holly, because that's where they all went to live out their fantasies, you know. I don't believe the shit that going around about Stephen Hawkins. But in society, there are nonces and perverts in all walks of life. And did he get a cash in on it? Was that his reason for having them all there? Did they just go there because they were offered free holidays? You could turn around the same, and maybe Richard Branson's Little Island was the same. But has anybody looked into that one? That Resist was a brilliant film. Absolutely brilliant film. There was a follow-up to it as well, which wasn't as good. But yes, that absolutely shows the way the world could go. You know, you're not allowed to breed. But yeah, I remember that one. And that was all AI. You know. Stop, I was on the way to Canada. I've got to say, Stuart, I've never been there. At one point, I wanted to. But I couldn't warrant the money getting there when I was single. There was other things that took priorities. Android police. What's this? WhatsApp could soon let you send high quality. Yeah. Seems that WhatsApp are going to stop you taking screenshots and sending screenshots, according to that alert. Oh, well. Because the gas of life CO2 is now toxic. Well, it's toxic to humans in certain levels. But everything else on the planet needs it to survive. So if they want to do away with CO2, how are they going to grow their crops? For the vegans, the weed munchers. Haven't thought of that, have they? Doing away with the farming. Again, what are the vegetabilists and the vegans going to eat if there's no crops to turn into false meat? Lab-grown stuff full of chemicals? Frame bottle of whiskey. Yeah. Must be an open frame, though. Yeah, I always couldn't understand that, Stuart. The British Army did a lot of their cold weather survival training, Sweden, Norway. I don't think they ever considered Iceland. Yeah, I mean, they complain about microplastics and plastics and additives in food now. If it's all being grown in a lab, they can put anything in it. Like I said earlier on, meat, even meat, you think about the chemicals that vets and farmers inoculate their animals with, their livestock. Sheep dip was found to be, certain types found to be cancerous. Good evening, Gary. We're convinced that the cancer my father died of was contracted through years and years of contact with sheep dip up the farm. I was involved in that, but I was more rounding the sheep up and putting them in the pens, not actually getting them in the dip and stuff, where he was in there with waders on, making sure they were pushed under fully and stuff like that. And it was always in the back of my mind whether that was the cause of his cancer. But this is a problem with Twitter, Sean. There are people in there, they probably do understand, but they don't want to, and they come across as they don't because they just want to argue the toss. That's why I don't use Twitter. I never have done. I mean, the only reason I use Facebook is one for sharing or posting silly fucking pictures, or to keep in touch with my old mates, or in one or two cases, find some of my old mates that I haven't been in touch with for 40, 45 years, even longer in some cases. There's a lad in there I've been chatting to. I haven't seen him since primary school. We went to different schools. He moved away. But somehow he picked up on my name and said, you know, am I the one from so-and-so? And I said, yes. And yeah, we hadn't been in touch since primary school. Some of my own family, not my immediate family, because I don't talk to them basically. But some of the outer line members of the family have actually been in touch with me through there. And, you know, that's the good side of social media, as I call it. You know, to me, that's literally what Facebook was supposed to be for when that idiot came up with it. And he did come up with it for the right reasons originally. But again, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. You look at the state of the fucking thing now. Same as all online platforms, YouTube included. Yeah, it's a very double-edged sword, Holly. Very double-edged sword. And unfortunately, because they're that big, unless you're a lottery winner or someone like Musk, we can't hold them account because they can do whatever they want. And they know there's nothing you can do about it. That isn't a new bomber, Rob. It's one of the remodels of one of the older ones, the Russians. They've been flying them over the North Sea for probably about 10 years now. So it's not a brand new one. It's just one they've updated and remodeled. But again, you can't rely on anything that comes out of Russia. Evening, Tony. They're full of bullshit. We know the spies, the murders they've done all around the world over the years, the way the espionage worked during the Cold War, and they just can't be trusted. That's one of them blackjack. No, it's not the blackjack, Rob. It's what was the nearest one that we had to it? The B. I think it was the B1 that they were going to use. It's a similar sort of aircraft to that. It's swing wing, supersonic, or allegedly. But they're the ones that were circling a couple of years ago over Moscow during the military parades, because they didn't have enough of them to put on a full display. So they just had one wing of them flying around in a big circle pattern and flying over and over again.
It looked like a lot.
So it looked like a lot, exactly. And they did the same with the rockets. What they were showing in the parade was more or less old Cold War munitions. And again, they didn't have a lot of them, and they were literally driving around the block, and it was the same one coming round and round again. And that was actually filmed. There was some form of footage I remember seeing where they were showing them going round, and they were coming round with exactly the same numbers on, same markings. Yes, Paul, it is. Westminster is the biggest lunatic asylum in this fucking country. You know, they're like a load of school kids scrapping in there. You know, they want recognition. Stepper, good afternoon, buddy. Hope you're good. I need aid for alcohol. Yeah, I came up with that with the thumbnail to this was I just saw a picture of the Westminster. I thought, yeah, biggest asylum in the fucking UK. That's just the way my mind works, and it seems as if a lot of people agree with me. But I'm that far out that I couldn't even be bothered to shave today. Look, very scruffy. I'm not going to apologise for it because I'm comfortable like that. Has anybody else got anything they want to bring up? To see what's going on in the headlines today.
Me and Sean are just talking with
Oh, the 3 children that were found dead in Bristol, where I couldn't figure out what was going on, and they hadn't released anything. They all died through knife wounds, apparently. That's according to mainstream media, mind. But on that, knife wounds, killing people with a knife from 10-month-old to 7-year-old. There is something seriously wrong there. But my question would still be, the woman that was arrested had wounds on her. Did the eldest kid fight back? Because the other 2 wouldn't have been able to. We went over Begum, Begum, Bubblegum, whatever her name is, Gary, at the beginning, mate. But yeah, I don't think she should ever be allowed back in this country. Same as anybody else that went off and fought for any terrorist organisation. They should not be allowed back in this country. I haven't seen the video, Gary. I have been a bit busy this morning. I've only just picked that up off headlines on here. Well, apparently, Plymouth Council now says the residents can return to their homes. So they've obviously got the bomb out to sea. But it would make quite a big bang because it did look in the region of about a 500-pounder from the picture I saw of it. Yeah, it is heartbreaking when you think 3 kids like that just wiped out. And what defence can there be for it?
Have you heard who the woman is that was looking after them?
No. That's what I mean. All they said was a 30-year-old woman was taken to hospital with wounds and they arrested her. That's all I've heard about it. And that's the first I've heard that they were killed by blade. Yes, Shan, there is. I mean, you go around stabbing anybody, there is something seriously wrong with you, unless you're involved in a war. Yes, some people will say self-defense. Well, technically, you can only claim that if you were defending yourself with a knife against another weapon in your own home, because it is illegal to carry those type of knives on the streets. Well, it's illegal to carry any knife unless you've got good reason to do so. Doesn't matter about the 3.5-inch rule, which is in place. The police won't take that as a defence. You have to prove that you had a damn good reason for having that knife on you, no matter how big it is. I mean, I could. Have I got it in here? They would probably even question that. Literally, that is there because it's got a nail file on it. It's got a toothpick, a pair of tweezers, and a pair of scissors. It does have a little 1-inch blade as well. But they'd probably argue the toss about that. But I won't take it off because I do use it. You know, I do. When I was working, there was always 2 or 3 different types of knife in my tool bag, which were for work. They were work knives.
Babe,
Hmm?
how many did you actually have when we went down to Wales? That
Oh, yeah, that was a bit excessive, wasn't it?
how many?
14. I remember because I counted them all. That included the new one that you bought for me.
Yeah, I know.
Heather's actually on about we went down to Wales for a weekend on private land, I might add, and I took some new bushcrafting gear to try out. When I unpacked the bag, I had something like 20 different ways of starting fire without a lighter or a match. And when I counted up the blades, including multi-tools and stuff like that, I actually had 14 of them.
Just in case the first one didn't work properly.
Yeah, the thing is, Jen, roofing, I used to do a lot of roofing down in Cornwall. And you're fine as long as you keep it in your bag when you're traveling or in a toolbox. But if you start walking around in public with it, like I used to, I had a plastic sheath that I used to keep me Stanley knife in, obviously, which is the main knife you use for roofing. If you're walking around on the street with that, yes, they could. But we used to do a lot of slating down there. A lot of the roofs were slate. We used to do traditional roofing with quarry slates. We did do tiling, but we used to try and stay away from it. Yeah, and the worst thing was, Loafer, you couldn't get in a pub on a Sunday because they were shut. You could go to a hotel and get a beer, but you couldn't get into a pub. Oh, when you go out in my workshop, there's probably half a dozen different types of Stanley knife out there, from retractable ones. I've got my modelling knives. I've got my leather knives, leather cutting tools. Any of those I could get caught with in public and could be deemed illegal. But there is, Jen, there's many people in prison that shouldn't be in there. They're in there for no reason whatsoever. And then basically they're on lifetime bail when they come out. Right, I'm just going to turn my camera off for a minute, because I really don't think you people want to see me sticking my false teeth in. It sounds like I'm slurring, but it's not. It's because my chops have come loose.
He's in granddad mode.
Grandad mode. They are actually broken. They got a big crack up the middle, but and we're back. With Horsham stone roofs. Never heard of that, Matt. We either had natural local slate, or a lot of the slate we used was Spanish. Good evening, Trojan. Welcome, mate. The Spanish slate was always a problem because it's full of bloody pyrites and they break too easily. But a lot of ours was reclaimed slate. We used to, if they were knocking a barn down or an old house, we'd go and buy the old slate off them. It's known as rag slate, which could be anything from a metre wide down to 6 inches, and you used to have to chop them all down to size to make them fit. I have a hook blade for cutting the flashings, etc. Yep, I had lead knives. I also had the Zacks, the slating Zacks. Some people used to use billocks, but I found because the handle was in the middle, not offset, you couldn't get a straight line down the slate.
Can you
And-
give some of them to me brother?
What?
Some of your roofing tools.
I haven't got any. All I've got out there now is a slate ripper. I think there might be a hole punch. That's about it.
I thought you gave some to me brother.
Oh, I gave some. Yeah, that's where a lot of them went when
That's
he was
what I
doing
said.
the barn. Yeah. But the hardest one I ever tried is someone wanted Yorkshire stone slate, and that's about 4 times as thick. Never used Moroccan, Jason. Most of ours was Spanish. Gary, you can't ask to join the SAS. You actually get recommended to them by your unit. They actually stopped a cousin of mine. He was in the Marines, 3 para. And they asked him, his commanding officer filled in forms in for him, went through him, gave the recommendations. And the only reason they turned him down, he fitted the criteria perfectly, other than the fact that he was too tall. He stood out in a crowd, therefore he couldn't get in. And he was a big lad. He was about 6'6", built like a brick shithouse, but fit with it. Actually, I haven't heard from him for quite some years. I must have a look around. What's going on here? For some reason, the comments stopped moving on StreamYard. Huh.
Nobody's talking to you. Nobody loves you anymore.
Is a heavy metal. All right, Steve. Yeah, a slate ripper is a flat piece of metal with 2 flat hooks on the end. It's for literally removing broken slates or sliding new ones in. They're a lot more than that now, though. Believe me, especially genuine Cornish slate. I mean, the rag slate is worth an absolute fortune. As I say, you used to get paid by the meter. And if you've got slates that are a meter by a meter, you've only got to put 3 nails in and you've made your money for that meter. Whereas the others, it'll probably take you God knows how long. Steve, I can't see you in the camera, mate. You're just too dark there. You're just a blur.
Oh,
That's better. I can see you now.
What's the matter, Pudding?
What's she moaning about? You'll get food in a bit, cat. What,
Even all. How you doing?
Yeah, she's sat
Evening.
down there, Holly. She's whinging and moaning as usual. It's gone past her tea time. I did give her extra earlier, but
That was earlier. Tea time now, isn't it?
When Mrs. W, hi Mrs. W, when she pulled on your, when she said that no one wants to talk to you, it pulled on my heartstrings. I had to StreamYard the place up.
Oh,
the cat will always talk to me. I never listen to her, but she always talks to me.
it's a
Slow
good
ancient
time to come on,
soldier.
Steve, when there's nobody else around.
Yeah, I prefer the slow moving conversations do me just nice. Does my brain just nice.
Bailey, yeah. I've met some of the guys from the SAS, and believe me, some of them were a lot smaller than me, but I wouldn't fuck with them. No, she's got biscuits there, Holly. She's got other food she can have. She's on a proper meat diet only at the moment, usually chicken. She's got a few stomach issues. She's not digesting some of the proper cat food.
So Roger's on the cat biscuits.
So I'm on the cat biscuits. She's eating the chicken. Where's the guy who works in Dubai normally comes on camera? That's Murph Box. I think he took a bit of an issue with me muting him out last time he was in, but it was at the end of the stream. I was trying to say my goodbyes to people, at which point, after I'd done, I'd have unmuted him so he could say his goodbyes, but he just wouldn't shut up. I know there's a bit of lag between there and then, but he does have a habit of talking over people, and he took exception, I think, to me muting him out. So, personal choice. He didn't get booted. All I did was mute him. He took himself out of the stream. So,
Storm in a teacup.
yeah, but it's like you see it on a lot of the bigger channels. Somebody will put a proposal forward or ask a question, and then they'll just talk over people trying to give the answer. And at that point, nobody can hear what anybody is saying. You know, and if you ask a question, then I think you should either mute out or keep quiet and give people a chance to answer that question or give their opinion if you ask for it. You know.
To be fair, it's almost like a spectrum of conversations where some places that we call drama channels, there's no breathing space, no thinking space even.
Well, they're just screaming and shouting over each other, and I can't see the point in that. You know, that's why I like this small channel. Yeah, we have at times, we've had 6 people on the panel, and everybody that have been in there has been as respectful as they are in the chat, you know, and everybody gets to have their say. There's the odd one or two that just want to sit in there and listen and chirp in now and again. That's absolutely fine, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly, Holly.
But the slower...
Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Not at all. Carry on, you were saying to Holly.
Oh, she was just saying I love chilled streams. Yeah, and it's a shame, but it's a fact of life that the drama streams get more viewings. Go figure.
Well, yeah, it's kind of populist sort of thing, isn't it? Populist sort of thing.
I'm not saying I don't go and look at some of them. You know, I'm ghost in the background, the same as everybody does. But I don't interact with them. I don't go in with them. And I certainly don't entertain anybody bringing any of the dramas from them in here. As you said, they're straight out the door. There's no need for it.
It's like they've recognised on YouTube, especially people like Jordan Peterson and that, it's that there is an audience for long form conversation where people are going back and forth, and it's not just a competitive thing. Who can shout the loudest? Just like you're really trying to give yourself and everyone time to think. It's sort of like you can say much better things if you can sort of like think to yourself.
Yes, Dave Jason, he does live in Dubai, and I believe Grumpy Sapper is over there as well. We did have several others from Dubai drop in. A doctor who used to come in who's learning English, and there was
Dr.
another
Wong,
one.
I think. Hong.
Yeah, and the other one was Red Rain. They're in Dubai, I believe. We did have people used to come in from Canada that I used to be in touch with through the truckers protest over there a couple of years back. They seem to have dwindled off coming into the streams over here. But now and again, on the odd occasion, when I'm not doing anything at the right time of day, I will go over and join in on one of their streams. We had a lovely fella drop in on Dan's on Sunday. He's a musician.
Ron Mack.
Yeah, Ronnie Mack. I've been over and looked at his channel, and the music, he does produce some good stuff. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to get much of a following on his live streams. I don't know why. I haven't dropped in on any of his streams yet, but I have been in and watched some of his videos and put a comment on there. So he knows people over here from watching. Yes, Jason, I do believe. Sorry, Steve. I do believe that
just a bit of sport.
lag comes in is because over there they run a totally different system to us, and they're very, very highly censored over there. Very highly. They've only got to say one word and they'll get dragged out the house.
Bloody hell.
It's well, it's like what they tried to hide with all the football and everything. They got, oh, we got this big brand new stadium we built in a few months. The fact that it killed thousands of workers while they were doing it, they had to live
Neither
in a
here nor
shadow.
there.
When all the football fans come over and all the teams, they moved them all out of certain areas and put them all in one area where they couldn't be seen. They were classed as lower class citizens. But
it's a bit like that thing from the last century, where the Russians built up some villages to look perfect and invited some reporters from the States to go over.
yeah, and the Chinese.
Someone in the chat will know what I mean.
The Chinese have built whole cities just so they can be seen from satellites. Nobody ever lives in them. They're pulling, well, they're not pulling them down now. The fucking things are falling down, but because of the bad workmanship in them. But they've actually built.
Apparently, it's the biggest thing in China now. The thing is the thing for everyone with the aspiring middle class and that is that everyone invests in one of these places and they watch their money go up and up and up and up. But what they've really got is, as you say, Roger, tons and tons of empty buildings.
Yep. And a lot of the crops that they show and the big green areas, that's all fake as well. I mean, there's videos out there of them spraying mountains green so they look like a green area, or covering them with tarpaulins, or making false crops in the field, stones on sticks and stuff like that. There's plenty of it out.
Wasn't there an example of that in this country, with people putting fake sheep out to get money?
Oh,
I'm sure there was.
Yeah, that was wasn't it the farmers, if they put the land out for something or other. And the
But if
other
they had
one,
so many sheep, they'd qualify for some sort of benefit or something.
Fake forests. Yes, Gary, there's even that in China. I mean, we know everything that comes from China is faked anyway.
Well, foresters don't grow on trees.
Yeah. All the manufacturing is fakes, copies, even down to fake Mackie D's, fake Rolls Royces, just with different names. Obviously, they can't sell a lot of them over here because of copyrights and shit like that now. But there is stuff that gets through, as we know. You know, there is a market for copies of everything, from CDs.
Is that why Nike is struggling?
Nike is struggling because they employed that fucking idiot Dylan Mulvaney to front their advertising campaign.
And Bud Light.
Well, you'd have think with the Bud Light debacle, they'd have learned. But oh no, he's brought them down. They're 90% down on sales. Oh, we'll have him to front us. And now they're having to lay thousands people off over there.
As we know, they're just following orders. So it's not a matter of anyone having any wit about what they're doing.
Gary's anywhere Armani. Yeah, and think about where a lot of Armani stuff comes from, Gary. It certainly isn't Italy. I know, I've been over
Perspiration outlets, perspiration factories.
In fact, if you fly into Malpensa in Italy, the first thing you see as the plane is landing from the runway is a fucking great illuminated Armani sign on the front of one of the hangars. I mean, the letters have got to be 15 foot tall. That is the first thing you see when you land at Malpensa. And when you walk through the airport with all the shops and that, like you've got our duty-free ones here, every single one of them is a designer outlet. Every single one of them. Anyway, Doc Martin, Fred Perry.
All the football clubs sold off to Emirates and things like that as well.
Exactly. Most football clubs are owned by foreigners. I mean, I don't follow.
It's going to be Amazon FC soon. Google Athletic.
Where did she go then?
Upstairs. She came in to do a circuit of the floor, out through the door and up the stairs.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, guys, do you want to come and take over for a minute, darling? I'm going to go and have a...
And she's now crying upstairs.
Because I need a piss. So I'll leave you in Mrs. W's capable hands for a couple of minutes.
Thanks.
No. Put that in your hands later. You only need one for that.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Oh,
wearing
Mrs. W.
blue. Wearing blue. This is what purple really looks like. Hi, Steve. How are you doing?
Not so bad, not so bad. Is that a dig it down then?
No, this is purple. This is purple. What Dan wears is blue. I'm on the blue team. But hey, how's you? What have you been doing?
Nothing out of the ordinary, I don't think. Except every day is out of the ordinary these days, isn't it? You wake up every morning going, "Oh my God, I remember about the new world order and that sort of thing." Stitch just thought I was complaining about life as a
I must say that
paranoia, I call that.
It looks like that hat will keep your ears warm.
Yeah, I picked it up. I think it's only a £5 at a charity shop. I thought it would come in useful, but it is. Yeah, it's very warm, especially when you've got nothing on top. You really need it.
Makes you look like you got long hair.
Yeah, I look in the mirror and sort of like delude myself for a while, make myself feel better.
Doing anything good the weekend? Or is it just another day, another dollar?
No, it's not like that. I mean, every day is like there's no such thing as normal anymore. So every day I'm trying to reevaluate everything. But as for doing things, the same old things, trying to keep things in order, some sort of keeping up with stuff and looking to the future. Got a few things we've really got to think seriously about, like possibly moving, or hopefully moving. Definitely moving, I'm told. And
yeah, I think that was a decision that was made a while ago. Yes.
Yeah, it's really has to happen.
Sorry. What's it doing poking out the head?
Oh dear.
How's the weaponry, Mrs. W? I know you're into your weapons.
The weapons?
Yeah, every now and again you say I've got a Glock something or something in the background.
No,
you sound like
what she's got is because we do air rifle shooting. She's got a beautiful British hand-built air rifle, and I'm not talking PSA or anybody like that. It's called a Ripley Elite. And they were hand-built in this country, all numbered, and she managed to get hold of one, but she didn't like the stock. So we had a quick look on eBay, and she found a brand new worn-up stock, purposely made for it.
Somebody had actually changed the stock on it. It wasn't the one that it came with originally. And I was lucky enough to find them because Ripley are now gone, and the Elite was a limited run. I think it was only about 800.
That was less than that. It was about 500.
I say I can't remember how many, but it was a limited run. Can't be because I'm sure mine's 500 and something, and it actually has a number on the side of it. It's Ripley are or were like £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 guns because they a lot of what they did was for the target shooting. They were known for their quality air rifles, and the Elite.
One run was specifically done for the England Olympic team, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Elite was done as a trial to see if they could put something out that was more affordable to the everyday man.
With the same quality.
Oh, very much so. And I saw it and I fell in love. So when I found one of it, I'm having that. I'm having that. But he's the one with all the Glocks and things.
Yeah, they're only air guns.
But my weapon is my
just
tongue.
air guns, YouTube.
Most of mine are German. I have got a few British ones, but most of mine are German.
But some of them, that, like you were saying with W, they're like a work of art, and almost like clockmaking precision.
Yeah. Sorry, Trojan. No, air arms. No, sorry. I've got my Viroc HW, and I've got the Ripley, and I wouldn't touch our air arms with anybody else's, let alone mine. He wants his seat back.
They do make good guns.
I've got two. How many more do I need? Don't use them.
This is where I miss having a studio. But no, most of mine are German. Viracs. I mean, Walther make the best barrels going. They always did, even during the war. And I've always made sure that any I've got usually have a Virac barrel fitted. Walther barrel, sorry.
I was going to say, you got that one around.
Roger, would the test of a barrel being better or worse simply be accuracy, or primarily be accuracy? Yeah.
Accuracy. A lot of it is down to the forging and the what's the name effect? The rifling. Yeah. Lot of early air guns, and a lot of them still now are smoothbore. But it's basically German engineering. We know German engineering has always been the tops out there for that sort of thing. But it all stems down to competition shooting, target shooting, basically. That's where the accuracy comes in. For general sort of ratting and stuff like that, usually as long as you're within an inch of your target, then you'll hit it. But we don't do live quarry. All we do is target and plinking. It's too much hassle. There's too much involved in it. You've got to have certain insurances. Before you can actually do it, you've got to get what they call a permission, which is, a farm, a field. And there's so many rules and things around it now that the easiest way is just go to the range. It's
right.
I have
That's
got a video. I think it was called A Day at the Range or something like that. I did a video when we were up the range a couple of years back, showing where we shoot, what we shoot. I actually had the camera set up on my scope, so I could film and watch the camera through the scope to actually. But it was bloody awkward to use. Jason Vorsprung Dirk technique. I used to call it Vorsprung Dirk fucked, but.
Well, do you reckon that if me and Dylan went up to the woods and just started mucking around with catapults, there'd be any breach of law or anything like that?
Not with a catapult, but it would depend what you're actually firing it at.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is any laws about it other than if you're using it to try and hurt somebody.
I thought we might come across some homeless people. I thought, wake them up a bit.
You definitely get arrested for that. Definitely.
All right. That's a no. It's a no on the tramp shooting.
I mean, they can be deadly. They can absolutely be deadly. There was a guy, he hadn't been on YouTube for a while now. I believe he's still out there, called the Slingshot guy, George. He was a German.
Yeah.
Now, because
unbelievable.
Because of their rules over there, they're very, very limited even on air guns. Now, they have to get a specific license. They are half the power that we're allowed. We're allowed 12 foot-pound per rifle and 6 foot-pound on handguns. Over there, it's half of that. So he started doing slingshots but building mechanical slingshots. Now, someone asked him one day just how powerful a slingshot could be. And he built a test rig with a swinging pendulum thing. It measured the power that it got hit by. Now, they tested it over several things. One was a slingshot. One was a 9mm pistol. One was a 45 pistol, the Colt 1911. And they also had, what's the big one? The Dirty Harry type fucking thing.
Magnum.
And believe it or not, now the 1911 Colt was the ones that were issued during the Second World War to most American servicemen. And they were actually designed as a people stopper because of the size of the round. Now, he put exactly the same amount of power into this test rig with a slingshot as that 45 did.
Mm.
It hit it with exactly the same amount of power at the same distance.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a big bloke and he could pull a slingshot back full length if he wanted to. And that surprised me with the amount of power that was in it. I mean, mine's only one of them little, what do you call them, little wire job.
Black Widow?
Yeah. But even that, you if you hit it right, you could take a rabbit out with it. You could take birds out with it.
Of course.
You know, depending on what you're using as well, obviously.
Yeah. You can get clay pellets so you don't leave a mess.
You can get all sorts, mate. You can get all sorts. Most people use ball bearings, but it's one of those things.
I use uranium pellets, Rog.
Depleted, I hope.
Nah, there's no fun in that.
But again, it's one of those things that I would class as a survival weapon. Literally because the ammunition can be laid around you. You don't need to buy manufactured ammunition. All you do need is pick up a reasonably smooth pebble or stone.
And do you know, funny enough as well, you don't even need the fork. They make them with just a stick, and it's no different. I mean, perhaps you wouldn't get quite the same effect, but it seems scarcely different.
Well,
plus you can use them for fishing. You can cast out bait.
Yeah, they've modified some as well. You can modify them so they shoot archery arrows.
Yeah.
You know,
more or less a longbow or something, or crossbow or something like that.
Yeah, I mean they're never going to be as powerful as a compound bow or something like that. But you know, one of them arrows coming at you from a catapult, they don't weigh much more than a marble.
Mm.
It's going to
the only sticking point.
I thought if dancing around in the background. Good afternoon, mate.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlefolk.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
I'm not so bad, thank you. How's you?
No, not so bad, thanks. All the better. All the better seeing you.
Sneaking an extra ciggy here.
Hello, gorgeous.
See what's going on.
Hello, Mrs. W.
Lovely. Hope you're well.
Yeah, all good
you
here.
both feeling any better now? Are you two feeling a bit better now?
Yeah, a bit. I'm still on the old cough stuff, but I've always had a problem with my chest and my throat. Anyway, you know, people try to regularly cut it.
No, I don't.
Fred Elliott's died. Carnation Street, dead program anyway.
Dan's hair puts in an appearance. Dan's had his ears lowered.
He's had it trimmed. Oh, that's brilliant, isn't it? You get it transplanted on the top and then shave the fucking lot that is there already.
Yeah, the next step. The only thing you're missing is an XR3i.
And the sovs. Don't forget the sovs.
Can I say, Dan, you were looking rather scruffy the other day.
Oh,
and you do look far better now. Far better.
Well, I went to the barber's and he said to me, right, what are we doing with it? I went, I don't fucking know. He goes, what do you mean? Did you come here with no idea?
It's been that long.
That's the guy who stuck it on there.
Listen, mate,
I can't remember what to say anymore.
last time I had my hair done, right, was when it was right back here somewhere, right? So it looked fucking stupid. I just had it trimmed. So I said to him, I don't know, mate. I haven't had a haircut, like a style of any kind, since I was 12 years old, mate. I said, so I've got no fucking idea. I said, some people have mentioned about getting a fade. And he went, okay. He goes, we can do a fade. I think it will look all right on you, he says. We can do like a normal fade or a skin fade. And I went, well, what's the difference? Well, skin fade means it's like down, like it's razored. Yeah. And then obviously tapers up to your hair. He goes, but that's quite extreme. And he goes, and you probably won't want that for your first haircut. I went, no, fuck it. Do it. Do it.
At least you get the fucking choice. If I went, what do you want as a fade then? Well, it's doing what it's doing now. It goes from hair to fuck all.
It's like a short back and sides, there's nothing left.
Everything that you've got left.
Roger's fade is the wrong way round.
Yeah, I'm upside down. I'm like that Mr. Potato Head.
So I used to have Novas, Beardy. I used to have Novas. Used to build. Used to buy them as Rex and take bits off one and do up the other.
Well, the favourite one used to be fit the Vauxhall red top in it, didn't it? The 2 litre.
Well, I stuck a Cavalier lump, 2 litre Cavalier lump in a Nova. It was a Nova SRI shell. The engine was knackered. The whole side of the engine around the timing chain the timing chain tensioner had broken. So as the chain was round, the force was forcing it out, and it wore a hole in the side. So I just thought, no, fuck it. Could just buy another bit, but there was a Cortina, not Cortina, Cavalier up the road that was for sale for like 60 quid or something. So I bought that and swapped the lumps over. I only drove it once, and my arse fell out.
Frightening, isn't it?
Oh God, it scared the hell out of me.
They always said the Nova, the best lump to always fit in it was the 1600 because it matched the weight with the power and it made it a little bit more balanced.
Yeah, I had an XR3i Cabriolet as well, Ross's Mark 2B.
The one that I always used to surprise people with, you used to fit the Rover V8 was a common one in my day. You'd fit it in any car, Ford, Escort, Cortina, Capri. And I was, oh, well, how does it make it handle? Because it's a bigger engine. I said, well, it's actually lighter than the 2 litre that comes out of it.
Yeah.
Because the Ford lumps are all cast iron. The Rover lump was alloy. And it was actually lighter. My car was a Volkswagen Polo.
My first car was actually my first car was an Austin A35 4-door saloon, British Racing Green, 958cc. And built in 1959, I think it was.
Bloody hell.
My first one was your usual Mini.
I had a Rover 216 SLI. It's quite nice, actually.
I'd hate to think how many cars I've been through over the years, mate. I really do, especially with the oval racing as well.
I've probably had 15 or 20, I reckon.
Oh,
I've had three or four cars.
I think the most we had in the yard at one point stacked up, ready to go, was, I think there was about 35 of them in there. Because where we rented the big barn for the workshops, the farmer allowed us to store cars there, but they weren't allowed to be stacked up any higher than the fence, so they couldn't be seen from anywhere. So, they used to be stacked 3 high.
Say 2 or 3 high.
Yeah. And it was easier to get bits off them then as well.
Yeah. Well, my apologies for being late onto your live, Roger. I was doing some videos.
That's right, mate. Yeah, I've seen them posted. I shall go back and watch while we're having my dinner when we finish in here. Grumps, good afternoon, mate. Or evening, I should say. Yeah, everybody seems to be good in here, mate. I take it you're going to be doing a stream Sunday, Dan?
At the moment, it's all on, yeah.
Okay.
So
No, I'd like, if it's definite that you're not doing one for any reason, I'll try and put it out on a Friday so You know, if people want to
no,
arrange
as far as I'm aware, with everything as they are at the moment, we're all good for Sunday. Besides, I need to show off my new haircut. Fucking hell, Steve, you need one.
Yeah,
years,
getting out of
mate.
control there. Jen, I was going to ask you a question about your channel, if you don't mind.
Okay. Which one? The only.
Sorry, you broke up there. I missed a good joke there. You broke up there.
My OnlyFans channel or my YouTube channel?
Yeah, grinder channel. No, no. I was going to say that on your channel, if you don't already have, would you consider doing like a series of videos, which is like from basics steps with dealing, or rather not dealing with the police, like for people who know nothing, like myself, who get drawn into these things by circumstances, who now would like to learn about what they've been trying to avoid all their life.
If you go through the backlog, there are quite a few on there.
Yeah, I know what you're
So
saying.
I'm thinking just go right to the beginning.
I know what you're saying, to do a video with it in, rather than having to go through all my videos and look for bits and pieces, would be helpful.
That's the basics thing. That's all I really mean.
The problem is when you say the basics, I mean that could be public order. It could be what's the other one? Oh fuck me, my mind's gone blank now.
Different types of law, basically.
Oh shit, what's the one? Breach of the peace. You've got different types of you've got like 4 or 5 different types of public order that they like to use. You've got breach of the peace. There's an awful lot into it. So I mean, I'll tell you what, Steve, if this is something you're interested in, if you write a list of the things that you would like to know about, that gives me a starting point on what to do. Because I overthink things really badly, and I'd end up with a several hour long video going through how much
bogged in the detail. You mean?
Sorry.
You'd get. It sounds like you're saying that you'd end up getting bogged down in the detail. It's like it needs ordering and.
Well, I'd end up doing is I'd end up going through probably stuff that isn't actually relevant to what you class as basic.
Your frozen sting
would probably be different. You have, But if you write a list of the things that you're interested in knowing about, that'd give me a starting point, and I'll try and keep it within that scope rather than sort of expanding out. Because most laws, if you go through the legislation, it will say things like updated by, and it will give another act, and then you'll have to go over to the other act, and then you'd have to read through that, which could be completely fucking different piece of legislation, and then it could just make things really, really big. Like the information could be too much. So if you tell me the basic kind of stuff that you're interested in, and I'm sure I can put something together and put it out on the channel.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll get my notes to the guys. So it's almost like I've asked too vague a question, basically.
Yeah.
In essence. Yeah, I'll look at that. I mean, I won't risk giving you another stroke down.
Not unless you moisturize first.
Yeah.
Was it a flash 3 nuns in the park? 2 of them had a stroke. The other one couldn't reach.
You can know the actual words of the act and words of the law, but you can guarantee the police won't stick to it. But they do tend to take a little bit more notice if you know what you're talking about.
But this is the thing, though. This is why you should always get your phone out and start recording when you're having any kind of interaction with them. I do not, and I've never told anybody to fight back against the police or anything like that, unless you are 1,000,000% certain that you've done nothing wrong and they try and go hands on. Okay, then you are within your rights to push them away or to pull away, unless it's been proven. We've got case law that proves this as well. But you have to. It's like making citizens arrest. If you're not 1,000,000% sure, I'm not talking about 100% sure. I'm talking 10 times surer than 100% sure. Then you can get done for assault. So you have to be like properly sure that you've done fuck all. That's the only time really that I would suggest anybody, resist. But not to the point where you as I've got a video that's my last video just went up, you end up with blood pissing out your mouth.
Yeah, because there will be reprisals, even if they know they're in the wrong, they will come back after you with revenge. And that's a lot of what they're kicking in the door in over the last few years. Most of those are revenge visits. They're nothing to do with you've broken the law. It's just that you pissed the police off or you've got the better of them. So they'll keep coming after you until they get you on something or push you into doing something. And
there's a phrase to be on their radar, isn't there?
Yes.
Well, this is one of the problems is that the police will push your buttons, right? And they do it purposely so that they can nick you for assault. If you pull away, they can nick you for swearing at them. You know, they can't, but they will. You know, all these kind of things use, the majority of it is to teach you a lesson for not simply bending over and lubing yourself up for them. That's the majority of police.
It's usually
well
what
put,
they
sir.
do is they put a marker on you. Like they've done it with a lot of the guys that film the police station, the auditors and that. What they'll do, they'll put a marker on you and your car, and you will be constantly pulled over. They know you're legal. There's nothing wrong, but they'll pull you over to inconvenience you.
Problem is, if they're pulling you over in the car, there's not a great deal you can do about that unless you can prove that harassment, because their police are allowed to pull you over for any reason at any time. Unfortunately, there doesn't have to be, you know, they don't have to see a light out or they don't have to see anything, but they can pull you over to check your documents for any reason at any fucking time. And that, unfortunately, you know, means you can't do fuck all if you get the lights behind you. But if you're on the streets, that's a different story, because they will abuse. They can hold you, and they can escalate it into far more than just trying to piss you off by pulling you over.
I mean, there's several that are. I mean, I know it because I've used it for years. The actual Road Traffic Act. They seem to think that they can pull you over on a 163, and that gives them permission to fucking do anything. Well, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. No,
they can't even get your details on that.
No, the 163 is the power to pull you over for any reason, or sorry, it's not the power to pull you over. The 163 is the power to make you obey a constable in uniform's directions. Okay, so if they put the lights on behind you, they're directing you to stop. That's it. That's all 163 is for.
And then you go to 164, 165 is produce license and details.
Yeah, but even then, you don't have to talk to them. There's nothing in the legislation that says you have to speak to the police if you're pulled over. And I would suggest nobody ever speak to the police and you film it, because that way they can't say that they smell alcohol on your breath. I'm not suggesting people drink and drive, by the way, because I think that's fucking disgusting. But if you get pulled over, they can, if you start talking to them, they can turn around and say, oh, we can smell alcohol. This is why you only open your window a little bit as well, like this. Never open it any more than enough to hear them. And if they want your details, you hold you don't even need to give them your details.
No, just hold it against the window so they can see it.
And let them write it down.
Yep.
But they will argue. They'll say, no, you've got to give it to me, or give it to me, I can't see it. And go, well, get your fucking torch. If you need to see it, get a torch. Or don't say anything, obviously, is the best thing. But
you have to mime torch somehow.
This goes back to the police not knowing the law. Most of them, they'll pull you over in the street. Oh, we're going to search you. They've got to have a reason to start with. They've got to give you the reason why they're going to search you. And most of them don't. Yeah. Oh, we believe. Well, you straight away turn around and say, what makes you believe I'm carrying this or I've got that? Yes, they'll agitate you, they'll intimidate you to get their own way, but you're pointing out to them the fact that you know the law, they don't. Because the first thing they do is they go to their little palm job and they'll look at, oh, what can we do to harass them within the law?
They look at your history, right? And they've already done this by the time they've pulled you over in most cases. In some cases, they haven't got the time. In most cases, they'll pull you over after running your registration number, right? They'll get a picture of you, right? or they should get a picture of you on the screen as well.
Can I just cut in there a sec, Dan?
Yeah,
Grumps, yes, I know you haven't got a camera, mate. If you want to come up, come up. As soon as I hear your voice, I'll know whether it's you or not, buddy. Sorry, Dan. Carry on.
That's right. What was I saying? Yeah, so oh fuck me, what was I saying?
Talking to cops or not?
Yeah, if they should, when they do your checks, right? They've got, there's normally two up in a car, not always, but normally two up in a car. In America, they've got their little computer thing. Okay, so when they type in the registration number, a picture will come up, right, or the tag number. The picture will come up of the person who's supposed to be driving it or who owns the vehicle. That then, if they go to the car and it's you, they know it's you, right? They don't do that here, but they can quite easily check you out on their little palm computers if there's one of them, sitting in the passenger seat before they pull you over. But again, this is one of the things they do. They try and aggravate you. They push you into a reaction so that then they can take things further. So the best thing to do is obviously keep your mouth completely shut. You don't have to talk to them ever. Okay. Regardless of what they say, you don't have to talk to them ever. Right. Even if you're under caution in an interview room, you still don't have to talk to them. Although it can go against you, obviously, in some cases, if you say in court something that you didn't say to the police at the time. But you don't legally have to fucking say anything, especially when you're on the street, especially when they're fishing for something. The best thing to do is just fucking.
I'll do, mate. It is me. Sorry, my
Oh my God.
It's just not playing game, mate. I've tried getting it working for the past 10 minutes. I just need to whack it against the wall or something.
Rog, that's not Grumps. Guys, that's not him.
Yeah, definitely not me. I'm too happy.
I've sat in the same room as him for a weekend. I know that's him.
Nobody forgets my miserable drone.
Right, well, I'm only going to be going for about another quarter of an hour, guys. You know my cut-off time's 7 o'clock. I don't know whether Dave Green's going live tonight again at 8. I haven't seen anything, but I always finish at 7, and that gives everybody a chance to go and have a break, have something to eat, whatever, before the live stream start at 8. I know a lot of people have different things to do in the evenings.
And that's your absolute right, Sean. Don't say nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
Regardless to whether they've got a uniform on, a shirt and tie, a high vis, you treat them like any other member of the public. If some stranger come up to you and said, and said, what you doing, where you going, where you been, who you with, what's in your pockets, what would you do?
Tell them to fuck right off, unless they can prove they're a copper.
Exactly. But even if they can prove they're a copper, this is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what they're wearing. When they come up to you in the street initially, 99% of the time, they are coming up to you to try and find something. It is a fishing expedition. It's called a stop and account, nothing more, nothing less. And walking away from them, even if you just walk away, keep walking. Ignore them completely, just keep walking. If they then put their hands on you, they're not allowed to do that. So that straight away is assault and battery.
Yep.
That's fair, but just walking away is very rude. So I need one additional question. Does this person that I'm being rude to know or have any form of communication with my mother? Because if they do, I'm fucked. I was raised not to be rude.
But not being rude is great, right? I mean, the way I try and behave is.
But I see where you're coming from. Not giving information's fine. But I've never had an issue with the police, and I've always been very respectful. Sorry, officer, I'd like to keep that information to myself for the time being, unless I'm under investigation of anything. And in which case, you know what I mean? But I'm very respectful about it, and I've always found it works. But at the same time, I shut them down.
But that does work in some cases, but you have to be confident. If you're not a confident person, the police will pick up on that. Okay, so for example, you'll turn around and you'll go, "I'm sorry, officer, I'd like to keep that information," unless you're, investigating a criminal offence or something. Straight away, they know that you've got a bit of savvy about you. But a lot of people haven't.
It's not only that. I've always found though that if you just close them off and walk away, they kind of see that as what they hiding, and they come after you more. I've always found that because I'm talking. That's what I used to do.
Yeah,
I used
it's
to go to
usually,
cross
have
off
you got any
mode, and then
problems? Have you got any mental health problems?
yeah.
And they just
Have you got anything on you that you shouldn't have?
And the moment they start going, and let's face it, when they start going, have you got any mental? Most of us start going, yeah, what are you playing that game for? You know what I mean? It's a triggering word. It's like, what, you painting us with that brush now? They know the game they're playing. They've always known it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they used to do it with the bikes all the time years ago, didn't they?
The Dalton method always works. Always be nice.
As soon as those hands go on you, you've got a claim, you know, so not everybody's interested.
I had one pulled me up on the M5. I was going down to Devon at the time on an old Triumph. And I'd actually pulled in to a service station. And this copper rocked up and started going on. He said, well, we pulled you over. I said, hang on, you haven't fucking pulled me over for nothing, mate. You were a quarter mile behind me when I pulled in here. So you get that out of your head to start with. I said, why have you pulled me? And he said, we had a bit of an incident the other day where a motorbike ran into a police officer and it injured and broke his leg with the rear pillion footrest. He said, we noticed that you haven't got matching footrests on the back. I said, well, if you do your job properly and look at the fucking bike, I haven't got any pillion fucking footrest because it's a solo seat. I can't have people on the back of your knob, so fuck off. And with that, he went round the whole bike. And it eventually got round to the, right, lift your seat up. I want to see what you got under your seat. Now, that I was crapping myself because there was a 410, a cut down 410 under the seat at the time. And he just took one look at it and he said, what's that? He said, I told him it was an anti-theft device. He said, well, how does that work? I said, would you want to steal me fucking bike if I stood there with that in my hand? And that actually got me shotgun permit taken away for 6 years.
Yeah, that may have that effect.
Yeah. He wasn't amused.
And thus endeth tonight's sermon.
Yeah, don't carry a 410 under the seat of your motorbike.
The mass has ended. Go in peace.
Yeah, that was back in the sort of, I think it was either the late 70s or early 80s, that one. It's not something I'd do now, obviously.
I'd carry this under my seat. They'd go, oh fuck, it's a ginger. Get out of here quick before we catch something.
They will pull you for wearing wigs over your helmet as well. I got pulled for that. I had a nice big long wig, and they said in court, they said, it could come around the front, it could interfere with your vision and shit like that. I said, not if it's in a ponytail. But they still fined me. I think it was a $5 at the time.
I very nearly bought some ears for my helmet, but I chose not to.
Well, some countries now it is actually illegal to have a camera on your helmet.
What? That's ridiculous.
Yep. You can have one on your bike, you can have one on your torso, but you're not allowed to have one on your helmet. Now, we all know the first thing that happens if you crash, the camera is going to break, it's going to fall off. They're all plastic. Mm-hmm. But they say, no, it can cause your neck to twist and damage, and it's dangerous.
Don't involve the
Yeah, Australia's one. A lot of states in America won't allow them, and they literally do it because they know that they can film the police.
Yeah. Ow.
You're frozen again, Steve, in a very ungainly picture as well as it happens.
He looks very pleased with himself.
He does, doesn't he?
Either that or he is pleasing himself. But no, they're trying to push bikes off the road like they've done with the taking the entitlement off your license if you hadn't had a bike for a certain amount of years. I fell foul to that. They've removed it from mine. I haven't got all the relevant and original test certificates. So in the eyes of the law, if I want to ride another motorbike, I've got to go for all the CBT training. And
I saw this coming back in the 90s, though, didn't they? When was it that the grandfather clause got fucked off? Was it 97?
Yep. But they've started using it a lot more now, and people have fallen foul because there's a lot of older gents coming back and ladies, funny enough, coming back to riding. And of course, they've gone to buy a bike, and now the dealers do check your paperwork before they'll sell you one. And they're like, "Oh, you're not entitled to ride one, so you can't buy this."
Yeah, I've never really had a drama with bikers. Do you know what I mean? It's quite simple. Get out of the way and they're happy. it's that simple. But I'm the exact same in my car. I think all of you have been in my motor. I'm the same way. Get the fuck out of my way and I'm happy.
As long as you've got a clear road in front of you.
Oh yeah, just get out of my way.
Yeah, you need better grab handles in the back of that car, by the way. It needs Jesus handles.
And stirrups.
Okay, that sounds really fucking bad.
I know. Sorry. But no, they've even tried to, I mean, they pushed it on the continent a bit, where they're trying to bring lower speed limits in for motorbikes than they got for cars. So how the hell that would be enforced, I don't know.
No idea.
But they are, with everything they're doing, they're trying to drive vehicles off the road with everything they're doing. I've said that for ages. They don't want people to have personal transport of any form.
Of course they don't. They want us plebs on public transport. All right. They want a paid privilege to be driving. Do you think they want all our little bangers clogging up the roads, causing massive traffic jams? They want all their fucking 150k beamers and all that sort of shit, you know, the elite.
That's why the WEF are trying to stop people repairing cars that are over 15 years old. They don't want cars on the road that are over 15 years old. And they will try that here. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's another one where immigration is.
Sorry, you've only just jumped in, Grumps.
That's all right.
2 minutes to 7. No, I always finish on time, mate, because I get hungry at this time of day, and a certain furry thing will not leave me alone until she gets fed.
Don't talk about Mrs. W like that. She's not furry.
And with the decision making with me, it's going to take us half-hour decision to decide what we're going to have for dinner.
It's in the oven.
It's in the oven, is it? What we're having?
The decision's already been made, it seems, because you took that fucking long.
But I will say again today, guys, absolutely brilliant in the chat and on the panel. The respect that you all show in here is absolutely amazing. There is a lot of streams that could learn a lot from you guys. There really is out there. And I think it would make YouTube a far better place. Yes, smaller viewings, but I'd rather get that respect from everybody and give it to everybody rather than have hundreds of people in there. It's a far nicer place to come.
True. Very fucking true.
But that's the way I run it. That's the way I want it. And that's the way it gets run. Simple.
Oh, that's way too positive for me. That you're all a bunch of wankers.
Oh, I know.
There we go. There we go. The universe has balanced itself out again now.
I was going to say, do you feel fucking better now?
I did. It just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? 90% love, 10% hate. I can live with that.
I've often said it. Now, there's people in the chat that I know, like yourself, go on these other streams, but they don't bring it in here. They're respectful in the chat, and that is absolutely fine. If they want to go on them streams when they're not in here, I don't have a problem with that. I don't, but as long as they don't bring it in here and they're respectful like they always are, I'm happy to have them in here. You know, there are certain ones that I won't have in here anymore, simply because the arguments got too personal. Yes, you can't take offense to any. You can only take offense. You can't give it. But I absolutely took offense to some of the things that were said about me and Heather. And I will never, ever have those people in this stream again.
Come on, Roger. Let's just call a spade. All right. We're not playing nice because of you.
No.
We're playing nice because your better half is in earshot and we're all scared to death.
And that's why I don't. That's why I don't mention their names in here, because they've got no recourse to come back at me. You know how they use it all.
We've met Mrs. W. We know better.
Yeah. Face to face, she'd handle them herself. She wouldn't need me.
We don't want that smoke, Rog. All right. We don't want that smoke. We ain't playing that game.
Face to face, you'd be holding me back.
I've seen her go.
I will tell you now, I've got absolutely no fucking doubt I'd be holding your pocket in prison. No doubt.
Handing the soap over.
Yeah. My left arse cheek would have Mrs. W's bitch tattooed all over it willingly, so I get left alone by every other inmate.
Right, guys.
Start our own little crew.
I'm going to call it there. That's 7 o'clock, which is
You have
the
a
usual
great night,
time.
guys. And thank you very much
thank
for
you
having
all
me up,
for
Roger.
joining in. Thank you all for being there. As I say, being respectful and supporting this here little channel. We are growing very slowly, and I'm happy with the way it's growing. I've never wanted a big one, as I've always said.
Yeah.
And I'll never ever monetize.
Rephrase that, Roger.
Well, there's not that chance of having a big one now at my time of life is gone, mate. You know what I mean? Even with a bit of work. What's their needs propping up most of the time?
I've tried making it longer.
Yeah, but that just ends up painful. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you ever so much for another great stream. And I may see you somewhere on the airway. Oh, even my throat's going again now. I may see you somewhere else this evening. If not, don't forget there's usually Dave Green on a Friday night, Rev on a Saturday night, and Dan himself, Lord Pat, there on a Sunday night. So feel free to join in any of those. Might see you in there. Definitely Sunday night. But until we meet again, thank you each and every one of you. And we will say adieu.
Bye.
Bye.
Hang on. I've got to press the right